All right, everybody. Good morning and welcome to another Project O Facebook Live. And also, happy Earth Week, everybody. So thank you guys for joining us today. We are on an island in Long Island Sound called South Dumpling. It is in between Fisher's Island and Connecticut. So my first question to you is, what do you think we are here to look at? So take a minute. Kyle's going to scan a little bit to maybe give you a hint. And while you're thinking about that, you can type that in the comments. I also want you guys to type where you are watching from. And I have a special shout out to teachers, students, families, parents that are now becoming teachers, and to everybody that's watching. We thank you guys a lot for all of your support. So just a little bit about this island while you guys are doing that. This is owned by the Avalonia Land Conservancy. So it is not habitable by people, and it's actually not even open to the public. So it's a pretty untouched island. We are lucky enough to be able to come out here to conduct science-based research. So we will come out and we will look at what type of animals are using this environment and try to get a count of how many adults, how many subadults, and those yet to actually break out into this world. So any ideas, Kyle?
Well, Molly asked if we were here to find pirates' treasure. Iris, age 6, says we can look for birds. And Joseph says herring gull nesting.
Great. Those are some great ideas. So the first one about the treasure. For me, a treasure that I find a lot on this beach and that I actually kind of grabbed slyly as Kyle was doing a span was some pieces of sea glass. This one actually still says Coca-Cola on it, so that is some treasure that I do like to look for while I'm here. Yeah, if you notice, there are a lot of birds that are on this island. Gulls specifically are a bird that uses this island a lot. And this is actually called a gull rookery. So what that means is it's an island that is kind of by itself, which they use as a nesting ground. So when you look out, you can actually see some of the gulls right now. One of the species that we see a lot out here is a blackback gull, so that larger gull you see with the white face and chest and the darker wings. But you were right, there are also herring gulls here as well. They're the smaller gull. Hopefully we'll see them a little bit later. They tend to be on the other side of the island though. So you might have seen gulls while you're at the beach. Maybe one stole one of your snacks one time. So my question to you is, why do you think that they come all the way out to this island in order to nest? You might also see them, just while you're in your McDonald's parking lot, or a lot of them like to hang out in Walmart where I live. So why do you think they use this specifically to nest, even though they're found so far inland? So while you're answering that, I want to kind of give you a little lowdown on the island. We're on the area closer to the water, so it's pretty rocky. And you can see there's a slight incline up to the top of the island. Not as much rocks, and there is some vegetation, but not a lot. Later on into the season, that'll start to all get covered by vegetation. So we're actually pretty fortunate to come here right now because you get a really good, clear look at what's going on. So any guesses why they would come specifically to this island, Kyle?
No guesses yet.
Okay.
Debbie says safe from terrestrial predators.
Oh, very specific. I love that. So yeah, so they come out to this island, like we said, because there is no way to get to the shore, and they don't have to worry about predators coming and sneaking up on them while they're on their nests. So while we're kind of looking around and doing all this, you'll notice there are other birds as well. So I want to show you a gull nest first, without any birds on it, so you can get an idea of what they use to make their nest. And then if you see any other birds, go ahead and shout them out in the comments and Kyle will let me know. So follow me this way. You'll notice that they get pretty noisy when you get close. That's just kind of their alarm call saying, hey, I'm here, I have eggs, back off. So we're gonna try to stay far away from them for now, but I do wanna show you, there are eggs right now, so I wanna show you what they look like a little later. So, over here, oop, that. If you go ahead and look over here, Kyle, if you wanna get a close up of this while I talk. So this is a gull nest, most likely a old blackback gull nest. So you can see there is a little indent here where the eggs would be and where the adults would sit. Both male and female will actually take turns sitting on the eggs and protecting their eggs. So you can see it's made out of algae. This looks like a lot of kind of eelgrass type material. So they want it to be pretty soft for those eggs and for those chicks when they first come out. So if you can go ahead and span over to the gull, Kyle, you can notice some of the coloration of that adult bird. So the head and the back are like a black and white color. It sticks out pretty well in this environment, and that is actually by design. They have adapted to have those colorations, so that way when they have young, the would-be predator is actually more distracted by the adult than the babies. So what we're gonna do, we are gonna get a little closer to this one in particular. Hopefully it'll stand up on its own and we can take a peek at the eggs underneath. If it does fly up, we'll get an even better look and it'll come right back, so don't worry about that. So let's kind of walk closer, see what we can find. Oh, okay, so you can see that adult is standing up now, and you can see it has 3 eggs, and they are a greenish color. We're gonna step away now so that we'll give her a little break. So you can see the eggs are kind of like a greenish color with some brown speckles, and those actually blend in really well. So if the bird does get kind of spooked up out of its nest and flies away, hopefully it'll be harder for the predators to see the eggs that are still there. When the chicks hatch, they'll actually be like a light tannish color with some dark speckles as well. For that same reason, they're trying to blend into their environment, and they do blend in very well. So any other birds that you guys have seen, any other things that...
Nobody has mentioned other birds, but
Okay.
a few other reasons why they're nesting here.
Perfect.
Specifically, well, Iris mentioned that they're protected by the water, so they are safe from those terrestrial predators. And one of those terrestrial predators was actually mentioned as well, and one of them was humans, so there's no humans here.
Yes, that's a really good point. There are no humans other than us and other scientists. There are no other humans that are on this island. And if we do come on this island, we are only here for about a month. So they start to lay their eggs around this time, but they can lay their eggs all the way through the middle of May. And then they will hatch, and then they'll also kind of live in this environment until those birds are older and can fly away on their own. So what I want to do is I want to kind of show you guys one of the other nests that is close by and talk about some of the other birds that are here. So I don't know if you guys could see. Was it hard to see, Kyle, the cormorant nest over there?
You can see them up in the trees,
Okay.
but they are far away.
So there are different birds that are using this environment. We'll get a closer look at the nests a little later on, but just to show you, the one that's up in the tree right there is actually a cormorant. It's a blackbird that dives down into the water. You see it a lot during the summer, especially because there's a lot of fish around. But they actually will create some of their nests up in trees, or they'll just kind of do them on the ground but further on top of the island. So something you'll notice is that there are different birds in different parts of this island. So the blackback gulls tend to nest on this rockier type environment. The herring gulls mostly will nest around the edges by that I mean like closer up towards the top, but around where the tip of the elevation is. And on the top of the island, there are actually some great egrets that are nesting. Kyle and I counted about 18 adults up there right now. Yes, I know you saw them too. Good. We will also see some eider ducks. So if you ever see a duck nest, it's normally made out of their own feathers, but they can have a lot of eggs. So I don't know, up to 10 or so eggs. They're usually white. These gulls only usually have about 3, but sometimes we'll see nests that have smaller amounts as well. They're also able to have a second clutch later on in the season if, say, their first clutch doesn't go very well. Some other cool birds that we might see out here as well. Every once in a while we'll see some oyster catchers. They actually will make their nests right on these rocks, and their eggs are very tiny and they blend in very well with the rocks. So we take good care of looking where our feet go before we walk around here. And last but not least, my personal favorite are the black-crowned night herons. We actually did see one perched up a little while ago, but they spook really easily and they've already flown away. So I want to kind of move over and show you guys a cormorant nest. And I'll take any other questions or comments.
Molly asks, if I see a gull nest when I'm out and about, how close can I get without disturbing them too much?
Another piece of sea glass. That's a good question. So normally you actually won't see a nest because they tend to like islands and seclusion away from people. But if you do see a nest, like you saw me, I probably got a few feet away. But I've been doing this for a little while, so I'd probably say maybe about 5 feet away at least would be a good amount of time or space. So you can kind of see it does start to get rockier on the other side of the island that we're walking towards, and we'll continue to see other birds nesting. These gulls will actually kind of use little crevices to make their nests as well. You can see we have another black-backed gull right here sitting on a nest. And now you can get a little closer look at the nest that's up in that tree. Kyle's going to take you a little closer in a minute, but that is another example of a cormorant nest. They're actually using sticks and other things to build their nests instead of algae and seaweed like the gulls. So, cool. All right. So what I want to do, I want to kind of flip the camera on Kyle, and he's going to talk to you a little bit more about what else we find on this island.
All right. So we talked a little bit about one of the reasons why we come out here, which is to study these birds, check on how their population is changing from month to month and from year to year. But another reason why we come out, and it kind of ties into everything we've been doing this week, is that we like to do a little beach cleanup out here as well. We mentioned that this is uninhabited. There are no people who live here. So nobody's out here littering per se, but we still find a lot of trash around here, and that can potentially be a hazard for the birds, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But first I want to ask you, like, what kinds of things do you think we might find out here if there's no people, and how does it get here? While you're writing that, we can walk over and we can show you an example of some of the stuff that we did find, and we may be able to talk about how it got here as well, and what kind of an effect it might have on the animals that live here as well. So while we're here, we conduct a population survey of how many nests we find, how many eggs are in each nest, and how many chicks. We do that multiple times throughout the year. But some other things that we're also looking out for would be the bird mortality. How many dead birds do we see on the beach? Sometimes they die of natural causes, and sometimes we're actually able to see what caused that mortality. And sometimes it'll be fishing line wrapped around an animal, or something that looks like they got caught up in. But I'll just give you an example of some of the stuff that we saw when we first got here. So one kind of trash you can find on the island would be a kayak. So things that float will easily wash up on the shore here. So Christian from Groton Long Point. We found your kayak. We'll try and return that to you whenever we can. Some other things we found, other things that float, boat debris, flotsam, stuff that falls off people's boats or moorings or docks. If it's floating, it can wash up on shore. So lots of plastic as well. And fishing gear is one of the biggest things we find here. So you'll see lots of fishing line, bobbers, hooks, even nets, and sometimes old lobster traps will be washed up as well. And this fishing gear can be really dangerous for the birds. First of all, because of what the birds are eating and how that can get into their bodies as well. So did we have any guesses about how everything gets here or anything like that before I continue on with that?
Yes, so Iris thinks that the wind might blow them onto the island.
Okay.
And Joseph was saying maybe plastic bottles and plastic bags, which we found a bunch of.
Most of what we find here is usually plastic bottles and bags, things that floats, can be carried on by the current and also by wind. That's true. So we do find sometimes balloons that have been let go. They'll end up getting in the water and washing up, or just being carried directly over and getting tangled in the vegetation here. But yeah, those are all great guesses. So usually things will drive it onto the island from the water. We talked about how something littered on land can end up all the way down here. If it's put on the ground in a watershed, eventually it can wash into a different body of water. Lots of those tributaries will flow into one of the main rivers in Connecticut and can end up all the way down in Long Island Sound. So lots of the trash that we've been picking up all week in our respective watersheds may have actually ended up on this island at some point if it wasn't gathered beforehand. Another thing that can happen is these birds can bring trash as well. We talked about where we saw these birds in the wild. It's not always at the beach. Sometimes you see them behind a McDonald's or a Walmart, or near dumpsters and things like that. These are opportunistic feeders, so if there's free food in a garbage can or something, they're going to try and take it. And sometimes that can be dangerous for them too, because there may be food mixed in with other garbage that can be carried along here. Sometimes they'll bring food onto the island from far away to feed their chicks. And when they're doing that, they can inadvertently bring other pollutants as well. So sometimes these birds are eating fish. Sometimes fish, if you hook it, the line breaks, that fish still has a hook in its body for a long time, or may end up dying, getting caught in something. And then when this bird tries to scavenge it, it can end up inadvertently ingesting some of that garbage as well. So whether it's in the fish already or it's nearby, they can encounter that trash and get tangled up with it. So they can either ingest it, which can cause blockage in their bodies, or they can become entangled and strangled by it, which can be very dangerous. So in talking about that, I want to get a closer look at that cormorant nest, because it's not just about the adult birds coming into contact with this garbage that can be a problem. Like we said, they use the materials around here to create their nests. These cormorants will take sticks and things from around the island and build them up into these trees, and sometimes that includes the garbage as well. Now, sometimes an adult bird can handle these materials and it's not too dangerous for them. They just think it's something else, like a stick or some algae or something that they're going to be putting into their nest to hold it together. But then when they lay their eggs and their babies hatch, the babies aren't quite as muscularly developed. They're kind of wobbly. They might have a harder time encountering some garbage and will struggle with it. So let's see if we can slowly walk up here without disturbing any birds on top of the island. And we can take a look at this cormorant nest here. So these birds will use these nests year after year. So even if it's not a danger for right now, it could be at some other point when they build it up more. But you can see there's some nylon rope wrapped around the tree here and actually incorporated into the nest. Now, sometimes we'll also find fishing line and things like that wrapped up in here. And then when the baby hatches, it could get entangled with that, which could be a really big problem. Yeah, actually,
there's a lot.
It looks like right here, there's actually a bait bag from a fishing pot used to kind of hold it all together. Now, normally, if they're using a material like algae to do this, to hold the nest together, that's not too dangerous. It'll get baked in the sun, it can break down, it can decompose organically. These plastic fishing bags, they don't break down, or not completely. They'll end up getting these holes, and you can see how a bird can potentially get stuck in that once it's actually hatched into the nest. So we can try and clean that up a little bit.
Looking around at all of the different pieces of rope that this bird has been using.
Yeah, there's some fishing line in there as well. So while we're out here, we try and keep track of how the animals are using this island, how successfully they can rear their young, and also we're trying to limit the amount of human influence that's impacting their nesting population. So trying to clean up what we can find out here and also see just how it's going to affect the birds. Yeah. So I think we're going to continue our trek around the island, picking up some more trash, and seeing how many other birds we can count and get a population census on. I want to thank you all for participating so far with our Earth Week celebration. Lots of people have posted how much trash they've collected, where they're collecting, and we'll give you a special shout out if you share your content with us with hashtag Project O Cleanup. Continue sharing that throughout the week, and we'll try and give you a shout out on social media. Also tune in on Tuesday for another Facebook Live, where it'll be Debbie and Callie. Hopefully weather dependent, we might see some seals.
Yes. We are also trying to put together a photo slideshow of people cleaning up around their community throughout the week. So please make sure you send us photos of you and your family while you're cleaning up this week. And any time between now and Sunday would be a good time for you to send it to our email or just to use the hashtag in one of your social medias. So,
all right. So, hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend. Keep cleaning up and celebrating the 50th anniversary of Earth Week. And tune in on Tuesday. We'll see you next time.
Bye.